Insane prison escapes. You won't believe what they did. Prison escapes have long captivated the public's imagination, as they often involve ingenious planning, daring actions, and the desperate desire for freedom. While some escape attempts are unsuccessful, there have been several instances throughout history where prisoners have pulled off audacious and seemingly impossible escapes. In this video, we will explore some of the most remarkable and insane prison escapes, revealing the incredible tactics and strategies employed by determined inmates to break free from their incarceration. These stories highlight the human capacity for resourcefulness, resilience, and cunning, as well as the flaws and vulnerabilities of even the most secure prisons. Get ready to delve into the world of audacious prison escapes and discover the extraordinary lengths some individuals have gone to regain their freedom. Join us on our channel, Explained, where we delve into the most astonishing and daring prison escapes ever witnessed. Subscribe now to uncover more captivating and exhilarating stories, and don't miss out on the excitement that awaits. Let's start with Richard Lee McNair's escape. McNair was raised by a police officer, and he was a very smart man. But in 1987, he earned 2 life sentences and an additional 30 years for robbery at the North Dakota State Penitentiary. McNair made his first escape attempt through a ventilation tube in 1992, but was recaptured a year later. His attempt to escape from a maximum security federal prison in Louisiana in April 2006 earned him a name in history. McNair's job at the prison was to repair torn mailbags, and this is where he devised the perfect escape plan. He built a makeshift escape pod out of some of the materials. One day, McNair hid inside the pod among some mailbags on a forklift. He knew the pile would be taken to a storage room outside the prison. So he fled. A police officer stopped him as he ran alongside the train tracks. McNair managed to convince the policeman that he was not the one they were looking for, despite not having any identification. Moving towards El Chapo. El Chapo was the founder of the Sinaloa cartel and one of the most terrifying drug lords on the planet. El Chapo was first captured in 1993 and sent to the Puente Grande prison, but despite being behind bars in a maximum security facility, he continued to handle his drug operations with ease. It was obvious his connections were extensive, and the threat of cartel retaliation was enough to scare many guards into compliance. He was wheeled into a parking lot where he climbed into the trunk of the car and escaped, but his biggest escape was yet to come after he was sent to the Altiplano federal prison in February 2014. El Chapo simply disappeared from his cell in July. Security footage showed him walking around the cell, and then something weird happens. He rises and appears to remove his sandals before vanishing. Reports indicate that the authorities discovered a sophisticated operation involving power supply, provisions, and a makeshift minecart converted from a motorcycle, likely utilized for transporting individuals and materials along the tunnel. This underground passage led to a cinder block house located outside the prison, from where El Chapo made his escape. Richard, Matt, and David. Richard, Matt, and David began serving a life sentence in 2002, while Matt received 25 years to life in 2008. They initially crossed paths at a shared workstation within Clinton Prison, where they initiated their escape plan. Their strategy involved requesting a transfer to adjacent cells, followed by manipulating a correctional officer named Gene Palmer and cultivating a romantic relationship with another officer named Joyce Mitchell. Eventually, these officers succumbed to their influence and provided them with small tools concealed within hamburger meat, such as hacksaws, chisels, and lights. Over the course of several months, they diligently utilized these tools to dig holes in their respective cells. In February, one of them meticulously managed to cut through the 3/8 inch thick steel wall of their own cell and proceeded to carve through their neighbor's wall. Subsequently, they descended 4 floors and gained access to a steam pipe connected to a sewer just beyond the prison walls. The majority of the laborious work was carried out by one of them, while the other remained present on several nights. Through their persistent efforts, they successfully severed the pipes. If you have been enjoying the video thus far and would like to see additional content like this, please show your support by liking the video and subscribing to Explained. Pascal Payette. This upcoming escape from Pascal Payette feels like something out of a movie. Pascal Payette was a French criminal sentenced to 30 years in prison in 2001. He escaped from prison Luna after her friend was abroad. He commandeered a helicopter that flew to the prison roof and escaped it 2 years later. Payette managed to escape from 3 more prisoners using the same strategy. Eventually, they caught him, and this time the authorities played to save him and decided to transfer him to a different prison every 3 months. However, in 2007, Payette managed to evade capture once again by employing a familiar means of escape, a helicopter, during a Bastille Day event. Payette's associates overseas seized control of a helicopter from an airport near Cairns and held the pilot hostage. They subsequently landed the helicopter on the prison roof at the beginning of the night shift. In a remarkably swift operation, within just 5 minutes, the men utilized heavy machinery to open 2 doors in the isolation room where Payette was being held. It is worth noting that although Payette was eventually apprehended a few months later, he still retains the distinction of having the highest number of successful prison escapes involving helicopters. Here's a lighthearted prison escape joke for you. Why did the prisoner escape from jail using a calendar? Because he wanted to take a break from his cell and make a run for it. Next is Clarence Anglin, John Anglin, and Frank Morris. Morris and the Anglin brothers were prisoners at Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary in the 1960s. During the 1930s, Alcatraz underwent reinforcement and became renowned as the most secure prison worldwide. Despite 13 unsuccessful attempts made between 1934 and 1961, the situation changed dramatically. The transformation required extensive planning, led by Frank Morris, who sought assistance from the Anglin brothers and a car thief named Alan West. To accomplish their goal, the men acquired stolen spoons and saw blades. Over a period of 6 months, they utilized these tools to enlarge the vents in their cells, all while Morris played his accordion to mask the noise. Last but not the least is the ingenious escape of Frank Abagnale Jr. During his youth, Frank Abagnale engaged in counterfeiting checks and displayed remarkable skills in assuming various identities. He successfully posed as a pilot, a college professor, and a doctor, with the role of a pediatrician, surprisingly proving to be the least challenging, contrary to expectations. When he got caught, Abagnale was sentenced to 12 years and sent to the Federal Detention Center in Atlanta. Now, this was in the early 70s, and it was a time when congressional committees were looking intensively at prisons. Throughout the years, there have been notable instances of internationally renowned prison escapes. These include John Dillinger's successful evasion using a counterfeit wooden firearm, the Texas 7 who fled in a maintenance truck, and Choi Gap-bok's escape from a South Korean prison by squeezing through a food slot in the door. Do you know of any remarkable prison escapes that we haven't discussed? Please share them in the comments section, and remember to subscribe to our channel, Explained, for more informative content. Check out the video and subscribe.